This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Death toll in Nigeria's Borno State terror attack rises to 30. After Africa doing better than the rest of the world in COVID-19 resilience, but is it causing complacency? And some 3,500 U.S. companies sue Trump's administration over tariffs on Chinese goods. Hello and welcome to Africa Live. As always, great to have you with us. I'm Richard Ntai in Nairobi, and for those of you joining us from across the continent and around the globe, we thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at other stories making headlines this hour. Saving the African penguin. South Africans mark Heritage Day with a walk for the endangered species. And in sports, veteran Kenyan rally driver fondly recalls the days the Safari Rally was on the World Rally Championship calendar. Once again, welcome to Africa Live. So good to have you with us. I'm Richard Ntai. Let's begin in Nigeria, where the death toll from a suspected terror attack in the northeastern state of Borno has doubled. 30 people have now been confirmed dead and more bodies were retrieved. The hit targeted a convoy of the state governor that was heading to the town of Baga to receive displaced persons returning home. CGTN's Daniela Pearson brings us the details.
Security sources report that the suspected militants opened fire with machine guns and rocket-propelled grenades as the convoy was passing through a village. More bodies found include 12 policemen, 5 soldiers, 4 members of a government-backed militia, and 9 civilians. The ambush targeted a motorcade transporting Borno Governor Babagana Umara Zulum. They were traveling near the town of Baga on the shores of Lake Chad when the attack occurred. Zulum was said to be on an assessment tour of Baga in preparation for the return of thousands of residents displaced by jihadists in 2014. He was unhurt during the attack. Security sources are also reporting that the militants seized 8 vehicles. The sources said 13 people were injured during the incident before it was quelled. Back in July, Zulum's convoy came under attack from the IS-affiliated group Islamic State West Africa province. This happened outside Baga, forcing him to cancel his trip to the town. Last week, the militant group killed a Nigerian army commander along with 3 soldiers in an ambush near the town of Damboa. Civilians plying the highway linking Monguno and the regional capital Maiduguri say jihadists normally set up daily checkpoints, where they rob, kill and abduct passengers. ISWAP has recently intensified attacks on military and civilian targets in Nigeria's restive northeast. It splintered from Boko Haram in 2016 and remains the dominant insurgent force in the region. A decade-long insurgency in northeast Nigeria has led to the deaths of more than 36,000 people and forced over 2 million from their homes. Most of the displaced live in camps where they depend on food aid from international charities. Local authorities have indicated that this is not sustainable, encouraging people to return home, despite concern from aid agencies of the security risks. Daniela Pearson, CGTN.
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has welcomed the inauguration of a transitional government in Mali on Friday following last month's military coup. Now, former Defense Minister Ba Ndao was sworn in as transitional president, while the head of the military junta, Asima Goita, was installed as his deputy. ECOWAS mediator and former Nigerian president Goodluck Jonathan congratulated the 2 men, but Jonathan said sanctions imposed by the regional bloc would not be lifted until the appointment of a civilian prime minister. Jean-Claude Cassy-Brou, president of the ECOWAS Commission, underscored the urgency of the appointment. He said the new prime minister would be responsible for arranging elections to restore democratic rule to the country.
Sur la libération urgente de ces personnalités.
The mission reminds about the importance and urgency to appoint a prime minister, a chief of civil government, who, under the authority of the President of the transition, will be responsible for conducting the reforms, an inclusive national dialogue, and for preparing the next presidential and legislative elections.
Then the issue of the sanctions. In Accra, the chair of the Authority of Health Services and Government, the President of Ghana, made it very clear that immediately a civilian prime minister is appointed, sanctions will be lifted.
A hearing is scheduled for Sunday in the United States on the fate of TikTok. A U.S. district judge will decide whether to block a ban on new downloads of the app, which is scheduled to take effect at midnight Sunday. The Commerce Department had extended the deadline by a week, citing, quote, positive developments, close quote, over a deal with ByteDance, Oracle, and Walmart. Another Chinese app, WeChat, is facing a similar fate. Well, U.S. companies are pushing back against President Donald Trump's tariffs on Chinese goods. Some 3,500 firms are suing the administration over import duties slapped on Chinese goods amid the trade war with China. They include top brands from retail to cars. The suit filed in the U.S. Court of International Trade claim officials launched an unlawful escalation of the trade spat. The government is also being accused of failing to comply with administrative procedures. And in Zimbabwe, there are concerns people have become complacent about COVID-19. Health experts warn that this could allow the disease to become a more serious problem in the coming months. CGTN's Jane Keogh reports.
Rosemary Rambire is a community worker in Chitungwiza. It's a sprawling working-class area on the southern edge of the capital, Harare. Rambire goes door to door to spread awareness of the dangers of coronavirus. Despite her 14 years as a health promoter, she says it's been very difficult to get people to take preventive measures against COVID-19.
Our job is now harder because people are no longer afraid. Some even tell us they're not scared of the virus because it has not killed anyone they know. They add that they are more afraid of HIV and AIDS because that has killed many people they know. With this hot weather, some say the sun kills COVID-19, so there is no reason to worry. Some also think they're immune once they eat garlic, ginger, and onion.
Under strong economic and political pressure, Zimbabwe's government lifted a strict lockdown imposed to curb the spread of the virus. Schools, churches, bars, restaurants, airports, and tourist attractions were allowed to reopen.
Our numbers are beginning to go down, and they actually also confirm that this is probably because of the stringent measures that were put from the very beginning, right in the middle when we started seeing a bit of spiking. And as we move forward, we must really respect those measures and hold on, because it's not over until it's over.
As Zimbabwe's new cases have declined, people say they don't see the need to remain cautious. Many are no longer wearing masks at markets, funerals, or other public events.
We used to be afraid, especially during the 21 days of lockdown, but now we are not scared of it. That is why I am not wearing a mask. There is no coronavirus.
Many African countries have been easing lockdowns and curfews to boost economies battered by the virus outbreak. But complacency among the general public could be putting millions at risk. Zimbabwe's COVID-19 response team says it will not hesitate to put back anti-epidemic measures if rules are not followed. Jane Keogh, CGTN.
South Africa is moving to strengthen its public health system as it tries to reduce coronavirus infections. The government is recruiting medical interns to help deal with the more than 600,000 COVID-19 cases in the country. CGTN's Julie Shire looks at the role interns and volunteers have played in Johannesburg, one of South Africa's COVID-19 hotspots.
Volunteers and interns helped ease the burden in crowded hospitals at the height of South Africa's coronavirus epidemic. Family medicine expert Dr. Richard Cook led a volunteer program at the Nasrec Field Hospital in Johannesburg. It accommodated patients with no place to isolate.
So receiving patients from our tertiary settings and then some of our regional and district settings as well over time, where we could then accept and treat patients who needed oxygen and various other interventions and complete their de-isolation period. for which they require to be away from their families and receiving treatment from us, and then home they go.
The government public hospitals were quite full at this stage, so they wanted to open up some of the beds for the more serious cases in hospital, and then we got the patients that's more stable. When you work there, you actually realize COVID-19 is real. It's real, and the people are really sick.
Government is now on an unprecedented drive to recruit 2,400 interns to boost state facilities, a move welcomed by the medical fraternity.
One of the silver linings for me is that the value add that the clinical associate has provided to the healthcare system, such as at Nasrec, has been quite remarkable. For them to have come on to the team of volunteers that involved doctors, that involved physiotherapists and occupational therapists, that involved nurses, all of whom came together in a like-minded spirit of togetherness.
The new interns are being placed at public hospitals across South Africa. They will be joined by 650 other graduates returning from the Nelson Mandela Fidel Castro medical program in Cuba, who will need to be reintegrated into the South African medical system. Julie Shara, CGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Tens of thousands of Ethiopian nationals have been repatriated in the past few months, and that's according to the Office of the Prime Minister. Many migrants returned home due to difficult living and working conditions abroad. Here is CGTN's Gerun Chala with the story.
Ethiopian migrants are mainly returning home from Saudi Arabia, Oman, the UAE and Jordan. The government said so far more than 35,000 citizens have been repatriated.
It's not a very simple process as well. It is a cumbersome process, so this work is being done at the consular level with the support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well as partner organizations as well. It's not necessarily only repatriating them back, but making sure that their rights within the places or their host countries are also being effectively addressed. But for those that are wanting to come back as well, facilitating that process, despite the fact that it might be a bit of a cumbersome process.
The Ethiopian government said repatriated citizens are given basic necessities such as food, clothing and shelter. They are also offered entrepreneurship training and other support to rebuild their lives.
Once they do come here as well, different partner organizations are involved with federal entities to rehabilitate them and also find meaningful and gainful employment for them as well. So this is an ongoing process because, as you know, these issues, there are a lot of migrant workers abroad. And in relation to the complexity of the tasks as well, the task of reintegrating them back into the communities as well and finding them meaningful and livelihoods is an ongoing process.
Most of the recent repatriations are due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but returning Ethiopian citizens to their country is part of the government's duties.
The repatriation efforts are not something only new and limited to COVID-19 repatriations, but before that as well. The Prime Minister has been actively engaged in negotiating with different countries to bring back also former prisoners as well that had been imprisoned for various offenses in different countries as well. But also domestic workers who are in grave conditions, whose situations within their host countries are not really supporting their development. As part of the citizen-focused diplomacy, there has been a lot of people that have been returned.
On the other hand, Ethiopia is also working on ways of decreasing the number of illegal migrants by preparing tougher legal frameworks against brokers and employment agencies. Some say that work is yielding some fruit. Still, the country wants to send citizens to the rest of the world, but this time by equipping them with the necessary skills and psychological preparation. Group Tala CGTN, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
South Africans have been marking Heritage Day, which celebrates diversity and the country's different cultures. In Cape Town, some people use the day to highlight diversity in nature by participating in a 5-kilometer virtual walk in support of the endangered African penguin. CGTN's Travers Andrews tells us more.
Every year, Heritage Day is usually celebrated in South Africa with a traditional braai or barbecue, surrounded by friends and family. But this year, some chose to waddle in support of Cape Town's favorite seabirds. This group walked in support of the endangered African penguin, a species whose population is in serious decline. The event raises funds for Seabird Rehabilitation Centre SANCOB, which hopes to increase the penguin numbers out of the danger zone.
So what we're doing today is to show people, that our heritage is actually in trouble, and we are walking, and we are showing our support for all the work that's being done to try and increase the African penguin numbers again.
The walk was also a virtually supported event, and many people participated in it from all around the world. They used social media platforms to post pictures showing how they were supporting the efforts. African penguins are at critically low levels, and as Africa's largest seabird hospital, SANCOB's release programs have become a very important conservation initiative.
We have created this virtual event as an opportunity to bring people together to help us fundraise for our cause, and also suffering the financial strain that has come with COVID-19. We found ourselves suffering with lockdown restrictions, and it would be a great way, we thought, to have everybody have this virtual experience all over the world.
African penguins are a South African heritage, which just cannot afford to be lost to extinction. So efforts such as this play a critical role in not only highlighting the plight of the species, but it has a direct practical impact through increased rehabilitation work and rescue efforts for stricken colonies. Travers Andrews, CGTN, Cape Town.
The central government says it has been investing more in the future of Xinjiang in recent years, a region which is less developed than coastal areas in the east. Much of this investment is aimed at improving education standards and ensuring equal access. Yang Jinghao has the story.
A music class in a rural elementary school in southern Xinjiang. Each child is equipped with an electronic organ, something most of them had never seen until 2 years ago. First established in 1935, this school in Yinggaser County experienced a makeover in 2018.
The environment of the campus was not good before. Now we have new dormitories and teaching buildings, which are big and beautiful.
I like studying here. My home is not far from here. The school is beautiful and we have special classrooms where we can paint and dance.
Like most parts of this region, Yinggaser has long stuck in deep poverty, without decent public facilities, including schools. For many families, making a living used to be their top priority, not education. As the anti-poverty battle pushes on, children's schooling is no longer a heavy burden.
The children can enjoy all kinds of preferential policies. No tuition fees are necessary, and they are provided with free meals, heating, and textbooks, among other items.
In fact, all students in southern Xinjiang can enjoy free education for 15 years, from kindergarten to high school, and support from the central government is far more than this. For schools of different levels in this remote county, what has changed over the past few years is not just the hardware facilities. Thanks to a NAID program, more and more experienced teachers from inland cities are coming to support local educational development. Cheng Yuanfeng is one of the volunteers. The physics teacher from eastern China's Shandong province has taught at a local middle school since 2018.
I'd expected to come to Xinjiang for a long time because I'm interested in exploring local culture. More importantly, I wonder if I can apply our teaching methods here.
Here, Chen not only devotes his time to imparting knowledge to students, but also helping local teachers improve, since they have lagged behind in both teaching capabilities and proficiency of Mandarin, China's most widely spoken language.
I hope when my time here ends, what I can leave here is a team of high-level local educators. This is the significance of this program.
Cheng's goal is coming to fruition. So are the students. With quality educational resources, they are empowered with greater confidence to pursue more than they have ever dreamed of. Yang Jinghao, CGTN, Yangisar, Xinjiang.
And we're not done just yet. We've got your sports news coming up in just a moment. Here's a peek at the headline. Don't go away. In sports, veteran Kenyan rally driver fondly recalls the days the Safari Rally was on the World Rally Championship calendar.
How would you create your legend? On the fields, on the tracks, in the arenas of Africa. Were you born to be a player? Could this moment be yours? Sports Scene. Find your game.
Welcome into Sport on Africa Live. We begin with rally news as Kenya prepares for the return of the World Rally Championship in 2021. Memories of the previous events are still alive in the minds of those who were part of the last event held in Africa 18 years ago. Now, one such driver is multiple Kenyan rally champion Azar Anwar. Here's CGTN's Sadiq Shaban with more on the veteran rally driver.
66-year-old Azar Anwar is very much active for a man his age. He still turns up to work in his garage every week to fix his clients' cars. The mechanical engineer's love for motorsport goes way back to 1977.
I did not get a chance until 1981 when we managed to enter the safari in a 30-year-old Datsun with a little bit of sponsorship, and we surprised everybody by finishing. At that time, only to finish the safari was like winning. It was a very tough, very long event, day and night, about 5,500 kilometers over 5.5 days. Very, very tough.
The multiple Kenya National Rally champion would be involved with each edition of the Safari Rally under the World Rally Championship auspices in different capacities for over 2 decades. He remembers how, in the late 1990s, the toughness and the roughness of the rally combined with the elements became too much for the drivers and the crew to handle, leading to the end of the African round in 2002.
And it became a nightmare for the event. Although the event itself, the route and the challenge, the teams, it was a huge challenge. And if I remember correctly, it was Ford with Colin McRae that won that event. So I was participating in that event, and it was very, very tough.
Almost 20 years later, the sport has evolved drastically, and Kenya has met nearly all the stringent conditions set for the return of the sport to Africa. It's not just about the cars, but also the rules and competition format.
The result of that is that every competitor now must go totally flat out. It's like a sprint. It's no more like a marathon, the event that takes place now. And the competition is all on private land where the roads are closed. So we have joined the world style of rallying.
Azar Anwar is one of the most experienced rally drivers in Kenya at the moment, from the 70s generation, who continues to stay active in the sport. His refusal to retire from the sport, when most of his contemporaries already have, has now paid off.
I am very much looking forward to it because I expect to play a key role in the running of the event as a safety car. So I hope to be very much a part of the new safari, and I'm very much looking forward to that.
Safari Rally, here we come!
It will have been over 5 years since he was last in a competitive rally car, but Mzee, as they call him, says age is nothing but a number. Sadiq Shaban, CGTN, Nairobi, Kenya.
Well, for more on that, do not miss our weekly sports scene show that kicks off in just a moment, 16 GMT, for a special program focusing on the much-awaited comeback of the Safari Rally to the World Rally Championship Circuit. And now let's talk a bit of football. Still in transfer news,